I don't know if anybody heard about this story. It kind of gets buried with everything that's going on with the banking crisis. But do you guys remember Juicy Smoolieyay and the two guys that were beating him up at 2 a.m. in the morning because he was hungry going to Subway? And then you find out those two guys that he hired to beat him up so that he could claim, racism and all that fun stuff. This is them. They're going to retell their story of this event. And yes, it's cracking me up, not even watching it yet.
They took our beautiful bench.
This is where we waited for Jussie to come before we attacked them.
And they're so happy. They took our beautiful bench. The other one smiles. Oh, yeah, they did.
So we got here with 10 minutes to spare, and we had to plan our escape route to survey the land. His building is actually right here, right above the stairs that we're going to attack him at. We made sure we got there at 2 a.m. sharp.
On the dot.
On the dot.
So these two, as you can see the camaraderie between them, the other one's talking, the other one's in the positive head movement and agreeance. They just love to sit there and chat it up with each other. They're standing close together. They lean into each other. They're giving nods towards the other one on whoever's talking. They are a tight bromance.
We had no phones because he did not want us to bring any phones. He said, so we don't lose them. I don't know if that's really the reason, but you can deduce your own reason. So 2 a.m.
He goes into believe me look, a little cocked to the side. I don't know if that was the reason for the darn cell phones. Obviously, he's got his own theory on that.
He was nowhere to be found. He was not there. So we were like, damn, what do? We didn't have no way of contacting him. He had no way of contacting us. So we waited here for about, what, 4 minutes?
It was about 4
Roughly
minutes,
4 minutes.
But it felt like forever.
Because it was cold as balls. So I saw him out the corner of my eye, and I was like, okay, that's him. Let's go. We gotta go get this Empire fat. Yeah, that's him. That's him.
They're so stupid. They're reenacting what they did. It's just hilarious.
Is that him?
That's that neck.
Is that neck?
Get that neck.
Oh, he's moving fast. Come on, let's get him.
Get that neck.
Let's get him.
They enjoyed this clip. Oh my goodness, this was so fun for them. Let's get them. Let's get them. You see it in their body. They're kind of stiff on it. Just, dear Lord.
As we crossed the street, we said hey to get his attention.
Hey, Nick.
Hey! He turned around, looked at us, and that's when we started yelling the famous slurs he wanted us to yell. Hey!
Aren't you that Empire?
Hey, Empire fat Nick! It's MAGA country.
Yeah.
And then he said, what did you say to me? And then that's when I threw the first punch at him. I held the blow because I didn't want to hurt him, of course. So
There's your honesty there. I didn't want to hurt him, of course. He held that blow. He didn't give him all his power. He's a big guy. Probably a very powerful punch. The other one, he's in agreement with him. And this is just too damn funny.
made it look real, but I held it. Then we started tussling, moving around, and then I threw him to the ground. He wanted it to look like he fought back. That was very important for him, because he said, hey, don't just beat my ass, make it look like I'm fighting back and whatnot. So we did that, and then I threw him to the ground, and after I threw him to the ground, he had no bruise. I wanted it to look more real. So then I threw him to the ground. After I threw him to the ground, I used my knuckle and gave him a noogie. So I went like this. Why did I do that? To give him a scar, to give him a mark, to make it look real, like he really did get his ass beat. After I did that,
he was given a noogie. And the picture they showed with his noogie mark, he was so happy with that noogie. There's no sadness in that face of pain. He was happy with that noogie.
I fake kicked him. I don't know what he was doing. I wasn't paying attention.
That's where I came around with the bleach, the infamous bleach in the hot sauce bottle, poured it on his shirt. Then I finally put the rope around his face. I did not put it around his neck. I just placed it on his face, and that's when we took off.
That was crazy. These two are hilarious. Oh, man, somebody else hire them so we can make fun of this later. Oh, my goodness. For anyone interested, this is the video from 2019.
Why did you hesitate to call the police?
There's a level of pride there. We live in a society where, as a gay man, you are considered somehow to be weak.
And if you heard the news yesterday, apparently the Chicago police are, I don't know if they've defined this completely or if they're using mixed language, because I only saw a tweet on it. But they're looking into the possibility, for sure, this was made up. And yeah, it's really looking that way just from, looking at news reports. It really does look like it's made up. We're going to look and see if there was actually any tells to it. We might learn something. We may not. Now, already at the beginning of this, you see the glassy eyes, teary. We're not seeing him fight it back, which I always find suspect. When you don't lift your head so that it drains, that you actually encourage it to come out in the forward. And if you don't know human anatomy, you've got ductwork, those sinuses that run all through everything, nose, the eyeballs, the back of the throat. And if you're in a teary-eyed situation, a normal person tries to get it to drain. They want it to drain. They don't want it to come forward in the out. They want it to drain in the back. So it's suspect when you see someone not trying to get it to drain, and that's the lifting of the head because you stretch out the ducts. So you pretty much, you're making gravity work and get that fluid down. But we don't even know how it started. So even I find that suspect.
Weak, and I'm not weak. I am not weak. And we are, as a people, are not weak. So during that time before they came, it took them about maybe half hour to come. And during that time, I was looking at myself, just like checking myself out. I saw the bruise on my neck, like the little, the rope burn around my neck. And then I smelled bleach. I know the smell of bleach. And
then we see portrayal. I smell bleach. And those movements, those jerky movements, they're very loud and they don't match up with anything else. He's an actor and we are acting, which is also suspect if you're actually telling a story you went through.
I saw on my sweatshirt, it had marks on it, like spots on it when you have a bad bleach job. So then I was like, there's bleach on me too.
And then we're seeing just the eye movement that we actually don't have any visual memory. I saw on my sweatshirt, we do not go to visual. We actually go to the part of the brain that's, how does this sound coming out of my mouth? But there is one part that I really want to get to, and I think it tells it all.
When the police came, I kept the clothes on.
That was a fake sniffle, by the way. See, I just did it. Didn't it sound real? I assure you, I'm not crying.
The rope.
So you had the rope on the entire time?
I mean, it wasn't like wrapped around, but yeah, it was around because I wanted them to see. I wanted them to see what this was.
So then we go into this part. It wasn't like wrapped around. It was around. I wanted them to see. When you're a true victim of something, so the rope's around you. Yeah, I left it where they put it. That would be a normal response. It wasn't like around. It was just around. So we don't have an actual verbal tale of that moment of how the rope got on there. I wanted them to see is what we got. In just a split second, you see there, he looks to the construction. So again, we have no visual memory. This is made up. Yeah, I'm really leaning toward the cops theory. Yeah, it's looking really good for them.
I told them what happened, everything. I also asked them.
And again, I told them what happened. No visual memory. Just how does this sound coming out of my mouth?
Turn their body cams off because they were trying to stay in the hallway. And I was like, please just come in. Like, I don't want a big scene with my neighbors and with like the second round of police officers. I went down to where it happened and I walked them through exactly what happened. And I looked up and I saw that there was a camera directly on the light post that is in the intersection. So I'm like, there it is.
Got more of the believe me look, but it's got some emphasis. It's got some emphasis too.
A potential break in the case that would eventually fall apart days later.
And then the detective told me that the camera inside of the casing was facing north. So they didn't have it.
Was facing north, and he gives a body movement for a direction. So we do see that he does give body movements when there is a direction involved, if it's a true memory of something. So to not see it in anything else, it's kind of like suspect.
And that was disappointing.
And that's what I liked. As he's literally saying the word disappointing, he smiles. And it was not just the mouth. It was like the whole face lit up there for a split second. That was disappointing. Why would you smile on something like that? Why would that elate you? Why would that make you happy?
The vast majority of people have been supported.
And then we go still. He's just told this story, which you would think if you're a victim, the worst part is reliving the story. And we didn't see any trauma. So there was no reliving of anything. It was just a story. The other part, the victim, then they tell the story. Once they finally get it out, there's relief because reliving it is done. And because this is not a true victim, we don't see the relief. We see stillness. Okay, I got through my story. Now what? I'm sure this is scripted, just like most everything on MSM, which is why I can't stand watching it. But that is what we learned from this. That would have been the assessment in the beginning and after, regardless. The why anyone would do this, unless they're directly asked, you'll never know. If you like it, please share and subscribe. Thanks for watching.
If you'd like to learn more about analysing body language, there is a video course available on Mandy's website for Gold subscribers.